Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy, it's a pleasure, it's an honor as usual to be out here in nature and bringing you this message of self-realization, where I'm pointing you to look within your own self to discover your true identity, to be your divinity. Thus the reason I want to speak to you concerning the sane man and the insane man, and open up to you that parable or that mystery in the Bible. But before I do that, I want to explain to you the basis of my teaching. And the basis of my teaching is that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. That the Bible is not literal, neither is it secular history. For the Bible is written symbolically, and it has no reference to anyone that existed thousands of years ago or to any actual event that took place upon the earth thousands of years ago. From Genesis 1 to Revelation 22, it's all a great psychological drama. So I'm going to take this story, this parable that is written in the Bible from, I believe it's Mark 5, concerning the insane man and the sane man, which is basically Christ, your higher self, being the sane man and the insane man being your lower self. The self of you that is filled with ego, that is filled with intellect, the self of you that has been bound with the chains of society, the self of you that is naked, but you think that you are clothed, and you're told that you are naked, you are blind, you are wretched, you're poor, and you do not know it. So it is basically you being in a place of not knowing who you are. So the insane man who live among the tomb is speaking of your lower self, your carnal mind. It is speaking of a place of dwelling. It is teaching you where you are dwelling psychologically. So psychologically, you are dwelling among the tombs when you live in your lower self. You are the insane man who cannot be bound by teaching you sensible things, or teaching you how to use logic, or teaching you how to think for yourself. Such is the mindset or mentality of all religious persons. So I'm going to show you the difference between having a religious mentality and a mentality of spirituality, whereby you come to realize that you're a spirit having a human experience. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read for you the passage here in Mark 5 that says, "And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes." And here, when you read things like this, people think it's a literal boat is speaking about. This body here is a ship that will always take you over on the other side. It's when you have a change of thinking. It's when you have a different understanding compared to that which you were taught from your parents, your teachers, your preachers, and so on. That's when you have journeyed over on the other side. And when he was come out of the ship, that here many people, especially religious people, believe that he's speaking of a man 2,000 years ago. But it is you, your higher self, that must come out of this ship, must experience transition. You are the one who must transcend and get out of this ship. Anytime you experience that you can come out of this ship and you can go back into this ship and you can cross over with this ship, you will understand that God is your own human imagination, which is the creator in man. And you will come to understand that this is a temple, this is a house. And you can actually exit this house consciously. You can even die consciously. You can even choose the day that you want to leave. So yes, my brother, my sisters, Ship is speaking about your body. And it says here, and when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. It is only when you have awakened within yourself and you have exit this body that is keeping you in the realm of time, space and matter, that you will realize that on the other side you will face this madman, you will face this insane man, which is your lower self, which is the self of you that was born in amnesia. And the system is set up in such a way to keep you in that state of amnesia that no one or no words that make sense can even bind you or keep you in a place whereby you would humble yourself. This is a man who's dwelling in a state of egotism. This is a man who's dwelling in a state of deception. This is an illusional person. And this is what religion do to you. It keeps you in a place of, in a state of illusion. Therefore you're naked and you don't even know it. And you believe that you are sane and others are insane. That's the reason why there are many people who are not on the same level like me, because they do not understand energy, vibration, frequency. So they say that I am crazy because they're not dwelling or living on this level. So yes, my brother and my sisters, this unclean spirit of what you're speaking about is when you do not understand energy. It's when you do not understand how to control your mind or control your thinking, and how to direct your thinking, and how to focus your thinking. It is when you allow your body to control you, when the mind is supposed to control the body. This is what it is speaking about here. But most religious people do not understand the science of the mind, because it's all about mind science. So this have nothing to do with anything that is literal or anything that is secular. It have to do with the mind. It have to do with thinking, because there's a law of mentalism that teaches you that everything was for us a thought, everything was for us an idea, and that all things exist in the human imagination, which is the creator in man. He said, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains. So people who allow themselves to be controlled by the system and controlled by religion, they'll use religion as a tomb to hide behind of. They use even their poverty as a tomb to hide behind, and use religion to justify living in a place of mediocrity, living in a state that is at the state or the level of the animals, where they can only see, taste, touch and smell, where they're living in the realm of the five senses. But we were born to contact the sixth sense. And when we contact the sixth sense, that's our super sense. That's the sense that we're born with. But they use education to make you go away from operating in your faculties that you're born with. Like your intuition, your perception, your will, your reasoning, your imagination. All these things you've been robbed of because of the academic educational system that's been given to you, to give you a mentality of an employee. So, like for example, in my country, when children leave school, they leave school with an employee mentality. So, they are actually insane. And when you show them the truth of self-realization, they believe that you are insane. So yeah, he said, no chain or anything could bind such a one, which means whatever word that you would say, whatever logic you try to show that person to get them to think for their own selves, it wouldn't make any sense to them, because they've been brainwashed by the system. They've been controlled by the system. They've been enslaved by the system because of mental slavery. Let me go on here further. He said, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. But when he saw his higher self, which is Christ, his Christ self, his higher self. Now, in order to deceive you, they have written here Jesus, and Jesus is an idol. It never exists. Through slavery, we were given an idol to worship. Many were forced to accept such an idol, and there are many who still believe in such an idol. But when you discover your higher self, it says here, but he saw, and afar off he ran and worshiped him. That him that is worshiping is not a man 2,000 years ago. It's your higher self. It's a higher level of consciousness, a highest level of consciousness, which is the highest level of existence, and cried with a loud voice. Now, I want to come here to a close, because you'll have to read the rest for yourself. Because the point I want to bring across to you in this story or parable is to let you know that when you discover who you are, and you know who you are, it is when you will be clothed in your right mind. That is when the demon or the wrong thinking, the negative thinking, the twisted thinking that you receive from your parents, your teachers, your pastors, and so on, that is when those thinking would leave you and you will be free, because you come in touch with your higher self. You come in touch with your true identity, which is your divinity. And you have attained that because you have learned to look inwardly. That's the reason why, my brother and my sisters, I always point you to look inwardly, saying to you that the kingdom of God is within you. And when you discover the kingdom of God, because you seek first to discover the kingdom of God, you discover the creation story. And you will realize the secret of creation, and you will be able to create your reality consciously, because you will realize that it is your thought that is creating your reality, and you can create your reality consciously. So my brother and my sisters, your mentality is what is creating your personality. So if you want to change your personality, you have to change your mentality. If you want to change your lifestyle of poverty and mediocrity into abundance and prosperity, you have to change your mentality. No education could allow you to make that change. No religion could allow you to make that change. The only how you can make that change is by changing your thinking, changing your mind. That's the reason why you are told to not be conformed to the system of the world or the system of thinking, but you must be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you want to renew your life, you got to renew your thinking. You want to change your life, you got to change your thinking. So with all of that being said, my brother and my sister, I believe I've gotten my message across to you. And I would encourage you to read from where I was reading from, and I'll make sure to put it in the description for you to read, because you have to read and understand for yourself. And you have to always remember that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. It is not literal, neither is it secular history. So with that being said, I want to thank you very much, and I want to encourage you, if what I'm saying, if it resonates with you and it makes sense to you, I'm encouraging you to like, subscribe, or comment. And I'm encouraging you also to share this message. And I just want to let you know that this message I bring to you, it is the single eye message of self-realization, of which Matthew 6:22 teaches us that if your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. That's the reason why, my brother and my sister, hadn't it been, I would have had the experience where I would have awakened within myself like a fiery being and ascended up on high, having heard the unearthly wind. I wouldn't have been here giving you the symbol of the single eye, letting you know that when you have the experience, you come to realize that it is the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N, and that it is the dawning of a new day in your life. For without the sun, there is no life and there is no light. For the sun is the giver of our life. Therefore, my brother and my sisters, you are told that the Lord thy God is a sun and a shield, and no good thing will he withhold from you. So it is very idiotic to believe that Jesus is the light of the world. That's a lie. That's a deception. That's the biggest deception that you can ever believe in. So when you have the experience, you will understand why the eye is above the pyramid. And you will come to realize that without the sun, there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. And that the sun parallels the human imagination, and the human imagination parallels the sun. And the sun is what powers all of humanity. Therefore, my encouragement to you is to use your mind power, which is your solar power, your creative power, your God power, to achieve your every desire. So with that being said, I want to say peace, love you all, I'm out.